All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we've got the Area 51 Indy Series here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Drivers are making their qualifying laps right now, so figure we'll pull up our point standings entering tonight's race. This is going to be race number 10 of 12, so after tonight we've just got 2 to go. So you see our points leader entering the race by just 1 point is Jack Walls over that 72 of Eric Schaus. Charles Johnson only 12 points out of the lead in third. And then I wouldn't count Craig Forsyth out here in that fourth spot. He's 48 out of the lead. But a strong showing here tonight could definitely propel him up that points order. From fifth on back, though, I don't think they're going to be able to challenge for the title. However, they, of course, want to get the best results they can. And it's a pretty tight fight there with Charles Teed in fifth, Jim Brooks sixth. Then you've got James Ledford in seventh, David Leclerc eighth, and actually tied with Roy Wheeler. And then Benjamin Combs rounds out our top 10. So after tonight, like I mentioned, there's only 2 races left to go, which are going to be 100 laps at Chicagoland, and then the finale at Homestead, Miami, with 100 laps there as well. So those are going to be our 2 races to finish up the season for Season 5. Kind of wild to think that we've already got this far through the season. Letting their drivers make their qualifying laps. And then I also got my partner in crime, Steve Gostruck. He's here in the booth with me. He's been making some laps with the Indy car around this track. And what do you have for us, Steve? What have you been able to kind of figure out with these cars?
I've been able to figure out that I truly suck at road courses.
This track's, I don't know, this one's not like any other real road course I feel like that you can kind of compare to. With all the elevation changes and everything you've got going on here, blind turns, I feel like it's almost like a roller coaster type of a track. So it's definitely going to be a challenge for these drivers, and it's going to be exciting to see what they're able to do here tonight.
I was unfortunately at the stage where I still needed a road map to get around here, and I kept forgetting which turn was which isn't helpful when you have a blind turn that if you don't slow down enough, you run off into the grass. So I did a lot of grass mowing. I will say that the cars handle great. The setups, whoever did the setups did an excellent job on this. So it shouldn't be any trouble driving the cars. It's just a matter of of knowing how to get around the track and executing properly.
Yes, and I think that's really going to be critical is those drivers that are able to minimize the mistakes. I think that's going to be the one to be in those top 3, top 5 positions tonight here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. So let's go ahead and pull up our starting grid here in just a moment. So get everything loaded up here. Alright, so on the front row for this evening, you've got that 131 of Craig Forsyth able to beat the 27 Charles Teed by just about only not even half a tenth of a second, so a really good lap for those two. In third, you've got David Leclerc, Brendan Pastelacqua, Chris Jabot, Michael Spell, Charles Johnson, and Jim Brooks. Then rounding out the top 16 here, you've got Nicholas Winook, Don Runkle Jr., Jared Kaczynski, Gary Corley, and then drivers that are taking kind of a provisional. A little surprising here, the 72 of Eric Schaus, so he's going to have to work his way up through the back to get to the front. Dwight Plesh, James Ledford, and David Patton. And the remainder of the grid here, you've got Jack Walls, also one of those points contenders there in 17th. Jason Bridges, John Brill, Benjamin Combs, and Art Peck. So that is our grid for this evening's race here. Again, it's going to be a 51-minute race, so it's going to go on time. So say it's going to be kind of a guessing game on the lap side of things, so we'll try to keep an eye on that. But yeah, I'm going to be really interested here, Steve, to just with everything starting off is going to be the who's going to wind up where. Just on the start of this race, you got obviously Craig Forsyth, kind of the I was trying to think where for. Kind of the outside shot to win the title on the pole position. Charles Johnson there in 7th, but then you've got Jack Walls in 17th. And actually, I think Jack Walls missed the grid, so I think he's going to start from the pits here in the 83 car. But then also we mentioned that 72 of 72. Sorry.
Do we know? Did he make a mistake on his qual lap, or did he elect to start there?
I'm not sure actually. I'll say both are definitely plausible, so it'll be interesting to see though. But he's gonna have to be careful though, because he's definitely gonna have to try to work his way forward, and carefully too as well. This is gonna be a hard track to have a clean race, but at the same time, if you can do that, you're gonna have some bonus points come into play as well. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how it's all gonna kind of pan out here. And actually, I'm looking right now. Actually, I only see the 44 of Dwight Plush. He looks like he's in the pits as well. Looks like he's going to start from pit lane in the number 44 machine. And I'm actually not seeing right now Jack Walls or Art Peck on the grid. So yeah, so this is going to be interesting. This actually really shake up the points battle here. So we'll have to wait and see as this race gets ready to unfold here. And one thing I want to look at, let's jump on board here. All right, so we're on board here with our pole sitter, Craig Forsyth. So you see that third number from the left. It's kind of that yellow box around it, and it has the P2P and then the number 10 underneath it. That is push to pass. So each car has 10 push to passes available for use here for tonight's race. So they'll be able to you have to decide when and where to use them. Obviously, this backstretch that they're on right now is going to be the best place to use the push to pass. You just got to use them kind of wisely and time them appropriately to be able to maximize your advantage. So that's going to be something we're going to definitely have to keep an eye on as well. So yeah, it's going to be exciting to say there's a lot of potentials for what these drivers are going to have options to use here.
This is a very long straightaway, the longest one on the track by far. And it leads into a very high-speed right-hander, another high-speed right-hander, and then you've really got to get woed down because you got a fairly sharp left-hander, and then a sharp right-hander, which they're going through here to go onto the main straight and start the race.
Yeah, and we are underway there, and you can see Craig Forsyth gets a great jump to get things going here, and that's going to be exactly what he wants to get this race underway. So now it's all about going to try to keep that 27 of Charles Teed in his mirror. And saying, of course, like I mentioned as well, they're going to be trying to minimize the mistakes. So we'll watch to see how everybody gets rolling here. I see the 44 of Dwight Plesh and 83 of Jack Walls is on track. So we do have 20 cars in the race. But again, though, with some of these drivers starting from the back, it's really going to be interesting to see how things cycle through here. So we'll watch as they go through that hairpin here. And oh, actually, it looks like Charles T got a little wide there, but able to keep it under control. But you can see that start of the race is going exactly how Craig Forsyth's wanted. He's been able to sneak away just a little bit. But that hairpin is definitely going to be the trouble turn as we see some of our drivers. Oh, I already see one is in trouble a little bit. That was Nicholas Winook there. Looks, oh, he's got some right front wing or left front wing damage on that car, so he's gonna possibly have to get that serviced. But we'll wait and see. But right now, say that 131 has completed the first lap, and he will have led that one. And now he's just gonna try to set sail a little bit, I feel like.
Okay, this left-hander that he's coming up to here, that is one of the blind turns. And Gael, if you can get an in-car camera maybe on the next lap coming into that turn, it is unbelievable. You cannot see where you're supposed to turn in.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely get a camera on that one. I see, actually, I saying also to add to some drama, I see two in the pits there. One of them is that points contender, that number 28 of Charles Johnson. He's having to get that car serviced. Looks like maybe a front wing change. I'm not sure on that number 28 machine. Actually, looks like he's up. He disappeared and came back. And also the 78 of Nicholas Winook, we mentioned him. So he's back on track now.
Charles Teed overshot the hairpin and lost a couple spots.
Oh, yeah, and he's also, wow, he's missing his whole front end here. He's going to definitely have to make a pit stop to get that repaired. So, yeah, Charles Teed right now showing back in the 12th position here. So, yeah, not what he's looking for. So let's see if we can jump onto Craig here quick enough. So here's that turn we're talking about. And, yeah, you can see just a completely blind entry there. And so you just have to, it's really just have to know it now. Actually, I see the 50 of David Leclerc. He is off in the tires. He's trying to get unstuck. He does, but David's going to lose a lot of track position as well. So with all of this going on, that's moved up to 23 of Brandon Pasalacqua now up into that second position. So say, like you said, some mistakes here, definitely starting to catch some drivers off here. I also see the 65 Gary Corley. He's gone off into the grass. Looks like he lost his front wing as well. So, yeah, this track is definitely biting early.
Yeah, that's I ran this in the Gen 6 stock cars, and that was my favorite place to run off the track.
All right, we're looking a little further back. So you see the Michael Spella, his left front wing end plate is missing there. So he's in the third position at the moment. He's actually holding on pretty well without that left front wing. See if he's going to stay out. He does, so he's going to not worry about it. He's going to keep going. But he's got a pile of cars behind him. So you see the 76 of Jim Brooks. Behind Jim is Chris Jabot, Don Runkle Jr. right there as well, Jared Kaczynski. Oh, as you can see, Michael goes off into the grass. Gets it back pointed in the right direction. Got a couple cars able to sneak through here. So that's going to move Michael right now back to the 6th, possibly 7th position. You see Jared Kaczynski. Oh, contact between the two of them. Michael's going to spin around there. So say Jared tried to sneak around, couldn't quite get it done. So you can see Michael's going to loop it back around. Oh, close call, but with a car behind him as well. So again, I say everything's shaking up really quickly here. Again, this right now it's saying roughly it's going to be about a 49-minute race. Again, it's a 51-minute timed event. So, but right now, Craig Forsyth in that 131's got about a 6-second lead, or actually looks like about a 5-second lead over the 23 of Brandon Pasalacqua. So he's in a nice, pretty good spot here at the moment. And then a little further back, though, that 76 now of Jim Brooks is up to 3rd. And then behind him, again, is that 5 of Chris Chabot. And right behind Chris is that 000 of Don Runkle Jr. So good starts for these drivers, all in the top 5 now after the contact with the 88 machine. So we'll keep an eye right now. This is one of the closer battles on track. A little further back, the 222, Jared Kaczynski, started in 11th and is up to 6th now. Behind him, Benjamin Combs in the 77 is up to the 7th position. And then there's that 72 of Eric Schaus right now in the 8th position. So say he's definitely made some gains here, but again, I think it's kind of a risk versus reward race for him. Oh, as they say that right in front of him, Benjamin Combs, 77, spun around there. Looks like he's going to definitely have some wing damage to that car as well. He's going to try to get back on track once it's clear, just waiting for that to open up here. There's actually, yeah, so it was a good idea there to back up a little bit and then point in the right direction so you don't have to risk getting hit. So that's going to cost Benjamin Combs a bunch of positions here. So we're going to hop on board. I want to see if... No, it looks like Eric Schaus still has all his push-to-passes left, so he has yet to use any of his. So that's going to be something I'll try to keep an eye on for on the backstretch of some of these tracks, or some of these cars as the race progresses, to see who is where. I think, Steve, you had a really good point there earlier. I'm going to do is, once we get to the start-finish line, we'll take a lap with our race leader, Craig Forsyth, because I think it's worth showing just how much elevation change there is in this track. And so these things do have a gyro cam, so you can kind of get the motion of up and down a little bit to see how just how much motion there is with these cars here. So I say right now, though, that 76 Jim Brooks still holding off that 5 of Chris Jabot. This is battle for the 3rd position here. That'll be, I say right now, that's the final podium spot. But again, still a lot of time to go here. Say a lot of opportunity, unfortunately, for mistakes to be made, as we've seen already so far in this race. So, and actually, it does look like Charles Johnson and Dwight Plesh have both retired, Steve. So that's going to affect the outcome of the championship hunt with that number 28.
Wow.
Oh, I see one there. I think that was Gary Corley in the 65. Yeah, so you see he's trying to back up and stay out of the track. There he goes. I say really good move by him waiting. Yeah, he's going to hop straight into the pits. Oh, I saw the 77 Benjamin Combs off track again here, unfortunately. And I say it's so easy, Steve, just overshoot these turns. I'm saying once you get off track, I say there's no runoff. It's just grass, and so it's going to bite you when that happens.
Yeah, very much so. And of course, the grass there's almost no friction on it. So once you get on the grass, you're almost guaranteed to go into the tire barrier.
Oh, I just saw 78. Looks like he was off track. That's Nicholas Winook. Oh, the whole front nose cone on that one is off. And saying looks like also some smoke coming out the back of it. Not sure if that's from... No, I think that may have just been gravel. Looks like it's starting to clear up there, but that car definitely has some pretty heavy damage to it. So, all right, let's do a lap here on board with that 131 of Craig Forsyth.
All right, let me do that with you.
Here's that blind turn that Steve was talking about, entering turn number 2.
Okay, this turn he just went through there. I sometimes didn't realize how much I had to slow down, and I ran off into the grass there. This is another blind turn. It's a very fast turn. You just you have to know where to hit the turn in, and it's hard to see that.
Yeah, say these cars, you sit so low in them, it is really difficult. But saying this is pretty much where you can finally relax a little bit, take a breath, and maybe stretch an arm out or a hand out or something like that until you get to this next turn here. You're talking about these 2 quick right-handers. And then it loops back to you have to slow down for that left hand and then back to the right. And saying this one you have to be careful getting on the throttle, so it's easy to get it to step out on you. But I say so that's again. I mean that's how quick the lap is here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. I say it's just over a minute in length, but just the elevation changes and everything. That say Steve and I are talking to a lot of these drivers. Of course, VR is definitely becoming more and more popular. I also feel like VR might be an advantage for some drivers, being able to maybe work a little bit for these blind turns, possibly. So we'll say maybe we'll get an opportunity to interview some of these drivers, maybe see if they are using VR or not, and if it does help them out. But up just ahead, though, Brandon Passalacqua on that 23, he is in a lot of traffic here right in front of him. So he's going to have to try to work his way through here. It looks like that is the 78, I believe, of Nicholas Winook. Looks like Nicholas is going to jump over to the right side. So nice job by him there, trying to let things get settled up front. And then now next up he's got, I believe it's Jared Kaczynski, but this is a battle for second place there between the 76 and 23, and not too far behind still, Steve, is that number 5 of Chris Jabot. He's in that 4th spot, and they've been able to sneak away just a little bit from that 00 of Don Ronklin Jr. He's not too far away. However, that other car that's starting to loom in the picture here is that 72 of Eric Schaus, who's worked his way up now into that 6th position. Saying watching lap times, he's running laps just about on pace with the leader of Craig Forsyth. Let's say 103s for Craig, 103 for Eric, and actually also a 103 there for Chris Jabot in that number 5 car as well. So some pretty good lap times. Oh, as he gets a little wide there through that right-hander, but looks like he's able to keep it out of the grass.
Was that Runkle?
No, that was the 5 of Chris there. That got a little wide, so he's still good. Runkle's going to have a lot of pressure here just a moment, though, from that 72. And, yeah, sure enough, that 72 is right on his... Oh, as I say, that Don gets loose,
Oh, no.
trying to get on the throttle. He's going to be able to get it stopped, just a slight contact with that wall. He should be able to get it spun around here. And, yeah, so he's going to get back going. He's just going to lose one spot. Track position, of course, unfortunately, but he's only going to lose the one spot to David Leclerc. So, as a whole, that's not too bad, really, for a track like this. Again, it's like you've seen so many cars lose their front wings and such. So to be able to get away with just that is not too bad at this point in the race. Right now, this is definitely the best battle on track right here for that second position with the 76 of Jim Brooks, trying to get around that 23 of Brandon Pasalacqua. Right now, again, that's that second place battle here. Let's actually hop on board with the 76. Oh, actually, he makes a dive. I was about to do. Oh, Jim gets loose, tries to get on the inside, couldn't get it done. He gets loose there and got the inside wall. He's gonna, yep, he's missing his right front wing end plate. You saw the 72 Eric Schaus. He sneaks away and grabs that spot. So that's gonna move Eric now up into fourth. Oh, I see some smoke up ahead. Looks like maybe a bit of a lockup from Chris Jabot in the 5 car.
Yep.
But it looks like everything's still in one piece on that number 5 machine. So, oh, actually a little bit of left front wing damage to his car as well. So. Again, we talked about those mistakes, I say, and again, this track is starting to bite one more time here. So, saw it happen to the 76 car, now the 5 car. But one car is able to sneak by those incidents, though, is is Eric Schaus. Apologies. That's going to move Eric up into third now, and not too far away from our second place runner of Brandon Pasalacqua.
Yeah, Eric's doing a great job of just running a mistake-free race right now. And it seems like everybody he comes up on screws up when they see him in the mirror.
Say he might be putting the pressure on them there. Say they see that car. I say it's kind of the opposite approach of the the stereotypical when you see that the black number 3 of Earnhardt behind you, you kind of get nervous. So when you see that multicolored number 72 in your back bumper, you're like, uh-oh, I know who that is. And so maybe that's where the mistakes start happening.
Yep.
But yeah, so saw the 76 Jim Brooks. He made a pit stop there. That was 12 laps in. So I think that could still be in the window. Again, I think it's going to be roughly a 3-stop race for this event. We'll have to keep an eye on that as well. But right now, though, still Craig Forsyth leading at the moment. Brandon Pasalacqua still holding that second spot, trying to keep that number 72 of Eric Schaus at bay. And then Chris Jabot still holding on to the 4th position here. Just a little bit ahead, I'll say not too far ahead of the 50 of David Leclerc, though.
Yeah, Eric's closing rapidly. Here he goes. He's taking the spot. And what's going to be interesting now, there's nobody between him and the leader. He had closed down to, let's see. Well, he's kind of stayed all over the 14-second range behind the leader. But now that he's got nobody else in front of him, let's see if he can start closing this gap up.
Yeah, you're right. Eric's got really clean air right now. Say there's nobody actually right now between himself and the 131 of Craig Forsyth. Craig's got a lot of traffic in front of him, though, coming up soon. So that's going to start slowing those lap times down for that number 131. So that's going to be the next thing to watch. Is going to be the lap difference between that 72 and the 131. So as Eric comes through the last turn here, we'll see. And so actually, we can look at. Doesn't make a lot of sense actually with these lap times the way they're set up here. So it looks like, yeah, it looks like it's not really set up for laps in the minute range, unfortunately. So as I see, yeah, so it was a 1:03.6 for Craig versus a 1:03.8 for Eric there that last time by. So just a little quicker there for Craig. However, this time around, Eric's had to get around that 222 of Jared Kaczynski, so that's going to hurt his. And this will actually be a good chance, though. I want to play some of these tools we have, because I think there's a way that we can compare drivers and see how their lap times are going, intervals and such between them.
Okay, well, as you do that, I guess Eric's difficulty getting around Jared Kaczynski. looks like it cost him some because now he's 16.2 behind. That's the farthest he's been behind this whole race.
Yeah, so you're right. The cost him looks like 104.7 to Craig's 103.4. So yeah, say a pretty big time difference there. Say those two are definitely right now the quicker cars on track. Although I'm looking at also Jason Bridges in that 34 machine. He's been making some pretty good lap times as well. Right now in that sixth position. Started in 18th, so a really good gain for him. Actually, I think right now between himself and Eric Schaus are the highest climbers of the race so far. And they say that car looks clean. I don't see any missing wings or anything like that. So a really good start here for Jason Bridges so far in this race. So also, I think if I understood right, the fuel window I want to say is in the teens here. So we might see pit stops of our leaders here pretty shortly. So we'll keep an eye on that. Last time around, we were mentioning the lap times. Eric Schaus just a little quicker than Craig Forsyth by a couple of tenths. Oh, as I see, actually, David Leclerc is off. That hairpin is definitely the trouble turn here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. So that's going to cost David a handful of spots here. He was running... actually, he was on brand new tires there. So I think cold tires is what bit that number 50 here.
And it should be noted that Jared Kaczynski on the right-hander that you have to slow down for, he unfortunately went in a little bit too hot and destroyed his car.
We have pit stops, and that's going to cost Craig here a little bit of time. He came in right behind that 90 of John Brill. I think Craig wanted to hustle in that entry a little bit more aggressively than the 90 did. So unfortunately, it didn't go to plan there for Craig. But again, able to keep that car clean though. So now we'll see if anybody's going to stay out. I think I saw Eric Schaus. Yeah, Eric is in the pits as well. I think it looks like this is pit stop time for everybody. Say Brandon Pastelacqua is in. Now let's watch for the 5 of Chris Jabot. Yep, Chris is in. So looks like this was definitely the fuel window. So drivers are all making their pit stops now. As we have a battle out on the exit there between that number 90 and the 131 there, they're able to keep it off. Kind of get it separated out there, but now Craig's going to come out just in front of the 78 of Nicholas Winook and behind the 77 of Benjamin Combs. So he's going to again be careful here on these fresh and cold tires.
This will probably change, but right now I'm showing Eric Schaus as being 12.1 behind.
Yeah, I'm waiting for everything to update there. Say, okay, so there we go. We have the previous laps of the two drivers. So as you see, obviously not apples to apples. So you see the 1:15.3 for Craig versus the 1:11 for Eric. Although that actually could be pretty accurate if that's a kind of the entry lap, if you will. So you could almost say there it looks like Eric may have actually gained about 4 seconds just on the in lap there, with Craig having this kind of work around that lap traffic on his entry.
And that would definitely work out to 12 seconds behind.
Yeah, so now we're waiting for the out lap and see what they look like. You see that 1:25.5 for Craig. Waiting for Eric to come around there, and there's a 1:26.1, so just about equal on the out laps, just 0.2 of a second difference. So yeah, I think you're right, Steve. I think that's where that difference in the interval between those two drivers. So I think Eric was able to gain a handful there, just under that, just from that pit entry there.
Yep, that was a huge improvement. I was looking for a word, I couldn't find it. But Eric is now 12.6 behind, and at least he's getting close enough to start to have a fighting chance. I'll be interested to see if he can actually start to gain on Craig. We've got Jim Brooks in third.
So I'm going to hop around. I want to look, see if anybody's been using their fast or push to passes and say still 10 there. How about Jim? Or is iRacing not giving us that info anymore? That might be also what's happening. So I'm jumping around through the field here to see if it tells us. But right now I'm seeing all the push to passes still showing as number 10 or as 10. So unfortunately we may not be getting accurate counts. So I feel like drivers would have been using them by now at this point.
So Jim Brooks, he had to pit early for damage, if I remember correctly. He's up in third, and although he's off sequence, this could work out.
Yeah, you're correct. Jim pitted about 5 laps before Craig and Eric and company. So it just depends on if that window is enough to be able to make it on. I believe at this point it's going to be 2 more stops to make it to the end. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. So Jim's actually fastest car on track the last time around with the 103.1 compared to the 103.4, 103.3 for Craig and Eric there. So I say actually the whole top 5 here are all in the 103s right now. So these guys are definitely the quicker cars on the track at the moment. And it's also a good lap time to have, again, like you mentioned there, Steve, with the older tires as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I say I apologize, I haven't been catching up on the chat. So, Dale, hope you're having a good evening. Appreciate you watching us. I say definitely got to watch for Nerf. That's a good reason to be part of the broadcast. And Rachel, let's say so far so good for Eric. Let's say up into that second spot right now. Jack is in the 11th position in that number 83 machine. So doing what he needs to do to kind of close that gap up. And then Michael, Craig right now doing what he needs to do. So they started on poles, led every lap here, and has definitely got a nice margin right now over Eric. So say if he can just keep this car clean to the end. And also we didn't mention so far, I say unfortunately we don't know, we won't be able to see until after the race, but if Craig was able to get through this race without any incident points, like going off track and getting a 1x or 2x with a wall, things like that, he'll also get a couple bonus points as well, so that could also come into hand here to help him try to close that gap just a little bit if possible. So watching lap time, so actually a really quick lap that last time around by Eric Schaus. A 1:02.683. That's his fastest lap. That's his fastest lap of the race. Only a couple tenths off the fastest lap overall. So that last time by, he actually gained just about 0.8 of a second over Craig Forsyth.
Yep, that's right.
However, I was gonna say Eric's gonna have to work his way around that lap traffic there. This is the 38 car. So haven't done a good job of going through some of the drivers here. That's David Patton in that number 38 machine. Right now in that 16th position, actually right where he started here. So let's do that here, Steve. Let's go through the field and kind of make sure we get all of our drivers some attention here. So of course we talked about our pole sitter and race leader Craig Forsyth started first, still in first. In second place is Eric Schaus in that number 72, started 13th up into second. Jim Brooks started in 8th and is up into that 3rd position. And we got Brandon Pastelacqua in 4th place, right where he started in that number 23. And in 5th is Chris Jabot, also started in that 5th spot. So these drivers holding right where they began the race. Behind him, again, we mentioned Jason Bridges in that 34 car. Started 18th, is up into that 6th spot. So great run here for Jason. Still, again, long ways to go, but a really good start for him in this race. Then we have Michael Spell. We saw Michael have some issues early on, but he's been recovering from that one. Michael now up into 7th from the 6th position where he started. And David Leclerc, also one of those drivers having some off-track excursions and has been able to recover, though, back up into that 8th position. In 9th is the 00 of Don Runkle Jr. Saying he's going to be charging hard, though, so he's going to have a lot of pressure behind him with that 27 of Charles Teed. Charles started 2nd, unfortunately had some mistakes early on, so he's trying to recover from that car as well. And that is our top 10 at the moment. And then 11th, our first car, 1 lap down right now, is Jack Walls in that number 83. Behind Jack is the 77 of Benjamin Combs. And then we've got the 90 of John Brill in 13th place. And 14th, we mentioned the 78 of Nicholas Winook. And it looks like the 65 of Gary Corley is in the pits. He is in the 15th position at the time of his pit stop. Let's see who we're missing. We mentioned David Patton in the 38. He is showing in the 16th spot, but I believe might be able to grab this, grab that 15th spot from Gary Corley during this pit stop cycle. We'll have to wait and see on that one. And in 17th, the 48 of James Ledford. And then Jared Kaczynski, Charles Johnson, and Dwight Plesh have all retired from the race, unfortunately. So gaps actually stretched back out a little bit here, Steve. Craig Forsyth put down one of his fastest laps of the race that last time around with a 1:03.543. Or actually, no, it was a little faster. So it was a 1:02 something. He just completed another lap there, but he was actually able to stretch that gap on Eric Schaus a little bit. So we'll see what this lap time is around this time.
He didn't stretch it just a little bit because we were down to 11 point something, and now it's up to 14.
Yes, I think, as you see, the 00 slow. Oh, he's got some right front or left front wing damage to that 00 machine. He's going to go a lap down as well. So I think he got cut out that fast left-hander right before the hairpin. So some damage for Don Runkle Jr., unfortunately. But again, still in the 10th position here, and I think he's got a little bit of a buffer over Jack Walls. Looks like by about 5 or so seconds. So I say he's still in a pretty good position here. But I say just one of these races here. You got to minimize mistakes. And actually, I think Jim Brooks has gone off. Oh, he has. He's gone off big. He's missing the whole front cone of that number 76 machine.
Oh no!
So that's going to change the running order as well. So that's moving Brandon now up into that 3rd position in that 23 machine, and then up to 4th is Chris Jabot in the number 5. And then in 5th is that 34 of Jason Bridges. So Jim's going to have to try to get this thing back to the pits. Looks like it's still up to speed here. Obviously, he doesn't have any downforce with that whole wing missing. So he's about 13 laps in. So I think at this point, Steve, he's going to probably have to make an extra pit stop as well. I just don't see that fuel window being able to stretch on one more stop from here.
How many minutes have we got left? Let's see.
Looks like we're at about 24 minutes remaining, if I'm seeing it correctly. Right now, it's guessing it's going to be about 24 laps to go. And yeah, here comes that 76 into the pits. Get that fast repair possibly done. Or he might just try to see if, depending on how bad the damage is, might just try to get the wing replaced itself, which will add about 5 seconds. But it saves a fast repair should anything happen. Looks like John Brill had a little bit of an off track here, trying to see if his car is in good shape. A little bit of left front wing damage to his, but we stay, well, obviously we stay green. There's no cautions. So now I'm watching. This is a pretty good battle here. This is actually to stay on the lead lap, I believe. Charles Teed is all over the back here of Craig Forsyth. And saying, again, Charles Teed does have some speed in that 27 car. He was the outside pole sitter, so we'll see if he's able to kind of keep the pressure on Craig here, which could actually come into the favor of that number 72 of Eric Schaus. So that could be another interesting one to watch.
Yeah, Charles is, he's hanging in there, keeping pace with him. And he was one of the faster guys at the start, so what happened? Did he run off the track?
Yeah, he was unfortunately involved. I think he went off track at least once to give himself some damage and lose track position. He's actually got the fastest lap of the race right now as well with that 102.486. I'm saying right now, again, he's pretty much holding steady with that number 131 of Craig Forsyth lap time-wise. You can see obviously by the interval as well, he's still right there in his tire tracks. But the last time around, looks like Eric Schaus about half a second quicker. Again, the gap is still big, but again, any mistakes though, and that's going to bring that right back to probably pretty much actually back to 0. So we'll have to keep an eye on that for sure as things progress here, because a lot can change in a very short amount of time, as we've seen. I've seen that before with this track with these cars as well. Just any mistakes, it just changes the whole outcome of this race. So I'm looking at the intervals right now. It looks like Brandon Pasalakwa's got about a 3-second gap over Chris Jabot. So you can see there, it's definitely not a big margin. So Chris could definitely catch back up to him, and that's one of the strategies you can use here that we had mentioned, Steve. Unfortunately, we can't see if they're using the push to pass or not. But what these drivers are able to do is maybe use that push to pass to get into the draft of that car in front of you, to then be able to take advantage of their draft and not have to use it afterwards, and just be able to use the draft to hang onto it.
I've never actually tried that, but I assume that it must be like in Days of Thunder when they shifted into 5th gear in the stock car on Daytona and the car just took off.
Oh, as I'm looking in the pits here, it looks like some more wing plate damage to 76 of Jim Brooks. So unfortunately, mistakes are definitely starting to bite some of these drivers some more. But yeah, basically the push to pass just gives the car and driver just extra power basically. And again, you have the limit of how much you can use it. But it goes, oh, as I'm watching Jack Walls doing some off-roading here, he's going to get back on track, but a little bit of right front, I believe it is. We'll wait for the camera. Oh, yeah, actually damage to both wings, it looks like. Missing the whole left front wing end plate there. So not what Jack was looking for. Again, trying to keep a clean race to kind of maximize his points there. But yeah, so say again, it's just kind of, oh, I see David Leclerc, he is off as well. Take a look at the back of that 50 machine. Looks like maybe a little bit of left front end plate damage, not too bad. But again, though, these cars they're just going off here, and it's just, again, it's just going to change the outcome of these races with everything that's been going on here.
It's a really, well, as we showed on that lap that we ran around with the leader in the cockpit, it's a very technical track, and it's definitely one where it's easy to make mistakes.
Yeah, it really is. And yeah, I did mention John Brill. Rachel, say right now John is in the 13th position, started 19th, and say still looking pretty clean here, as well as a little bit of left front end plate damage, but he's going to keep that thing running. Right now he's gone 6 laps since his last pit stop, and say where it looks like, actually I think the pit stop window is going to open shortly. I see the 50 of David Leclerc. He is in the pits. Looks like the 00 Don Runkle Jr. is in as well. Actually, looks like it's been a long pit stop for the 00, so something may be going on, unfortunately, for him. But yeah, so that's where John right now is running in that 13th position, but actually might be grabbing the 12th spot from Don here with Don sitting in the pits there. And yeah, sure enough, he has. So it moves John up into the top 12 here. And trying to see where some of our, say, actually right now that 131's in some pretty heavy traffic. Hasn't been able to shake Gary Corley. You see him right there in that lime green car right in his mirror. Let's say he's able to get around, I believe that was the 48 of James Ledford. Now he's working on Jason Bridges in the 34, and I think I must have jinxed that 34 car, because it looks like he's lost a few spots right now down into the, well, actually no, I'm sorry, he made a pit stop in that 34. That's why he's lost some track position. So he looks like he went for maybe a little bit of a short pit strategy. So that's okay. So hopefully no commentator's curse for Jason Bridges. Like I said, he's been having a pretty good run here so far.
I've got a.
Oh, I just jinxed him. Oh no.
Oh no.
I think the cold tires plus myself caught him there. He's going to try to get it looped back around. But again, this is where it's risky because you have so many cars coming. You want to get it looped around, but you don't want to come across traffic. So he's going to get it done here. Oh no, contact between the drivers going for the same spot. Heavy hit for David Leclerc. So I had a feeling that something like that might happen, and David is not able to get back on his tires, unfortunately. So he's going to have to take a tow there. So you can see the 34 Jason Bridges. He looks like he's going to limp here and take a tow as well. I hate when that happens.
It's a shame. They both at one point had very good races going.
Yeah, it seems like cold tires is really the really risky part with these cars. As I'm watching Craig Forsyth, I'm looking at the gap actually, and it's been closing. We've been watching everything else going on. I'm looking at 72 of Eric Schaus. You can see here it's showing us 9 seconds roughly between the two of them. So I'm going to see what the lap time is this time by. And yeah, about 8/10 of a second quicker for Eric Schaus over Craig Forsyth. 103.8 for Craig, 103 flat for Eric. So again, that gap is slowly but surely shrinking here. So we'll have to kind of keep an eye. Again, we still have another pit stop to go as well in the race. And so we'll see. Again, you want to have a clear entry to the pits, of course, and especially there too, you have to be careful not to overshoot your pits, because you get a speeding penalty, and that you're going to lose a lot of time with that pit penalty.
Okay, I've got a question, a techie question, because I haven't driven these things with missing parts. Jack Walls stayed out with the damage that you described before, where he's missing one of his front wings and the other one's kind of wrinkled. I'm wondering how that changes the handling of the car.
I think it'll just make the car push a lot worse than it currently is. It definitely won't have the downforce that you would be hoping for. So I think that's what you're going to be seeing on when you have the wing damage, especially. I think that's where I'm not sure, like left-hand turns, right-hand turns, where it would be effective or less effective. But I think that's what you would probably be seeing though with that. And actually, as I mentioned, that the leaders are both in the pits here. Let's jump over them. Craig is already out of the pits. So I'll
And
keep an eye on the 72 of Eric Schaus. He's not too far behind.
And I would say also Jack Walls just made his last pit stop, so his car's all fixed.
Yeah, and so the only thing though is Jack is going to be right in front of our race leader of Craig Forsyth. So we'll see if Craig catches him at the wrong spot again. That could cost him a little bit of time here. So we'll keep an eye on that. It looks like Brendan Pasalacqua, he's exiting the pits now. Chris Jabot right behind him. Say hello. Chris is still sitting in the pits. Oh, there he goes. I was worried if he may have had a penalty or something there, but he's back out on track as well. So we'll watch up front here because Craig is not too far away from that 83 of Jack Walls. So we'll see if he's able to get around him. He can't get through on the backstretch, so he's gonna have to wait. I say now we're gonna get through that kind of the more technical part of the track here, and say that's gonna be a hard place to make some passes happen. Again, he's gonna have to be extremely careful as well on the throttle with these cold tires.
It looks like Jack Walls has actually pulled away a teeny bit. Now I'm showing Jack as being 1 lap down, so I think if Craig passes him, he'd be 2 laps down.
Correct. Yeah. Right now, Jack's on the tail end of 1 down. So yeah, if and when he gets around him, that'll put him to 2 down. Say again though, what we're watching for is this interval, because right now Craig is kind of just stuck behind that 83 here. Probably isn't able to hit his marks as well as he wants to or anything like that. So what we might see here is he comes out of that hairpin. He's pretty close and gets a good exit as well. So I think he's going to be able to use the push to pass probably and some draft. And I think Jack's actually just going to go ahead and let him on by down the back. So that's going to give Craig some more clean track ahead of him. Say a little further back to that 72 of Eric Schaus. Right now showing about just over 5 seconds. I mean, that gap has pretty much cut in half since right before that pit stop. So again, I mean, we still have about looks like 14 minutes or so left in the race, which again is going to be roughly around that 13-14 laps or so, with these laps going just at about a minute 5 seconds, somewhere in that window. So let's say that last time around, sure enough, yeah, almost 2 seconds faster for Eric Schaus on the out lap than that 131 of Craig Forsyth.
Wow. He's cut it down to where he has a realistic chance of catching him and battling for the lead, but it's still going to be tough.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, he's still got a lot of work left to try to make something happen. Looks like Charles Teed's making his final pit stop in that number 27 machine. So Charles is going to drop a couple spots. That's going to move Brandon back up into 3rd. Oh, actually, we have trouble up front. Couldn't quite see who's all involved there.
John Brill got off the track, and I think in his coming back on the track, he kind of messed up a bunch of cars.
Yeah, so it looks like Don Runkle Jr. is also slightly involved. However, it looks like with all that, Eric Schaus able to get around all of these cars. I was trying to find out where the 131 Craig Forsyth was. He got through cleanly. Began on that lap, though, or that lead here, just about 5 seconds. We'll see how they got around this time, lap time-wise. And yeah, about a half a second or so quicker for Eric Schaus in that 72. And that's actually also Eric's fastest lap of the race there. Now it looks like Eric's going to get around. Looks like Charles Teed there in the 27. He went ahead and moved over for Eric. Again, just the sportsmanship that you see from these drivers is really nice to see. Let's say they go and the kind of the give and take and all that. So that goes a long ways for a lot of these drivers. So I'm sure it's quite appreciative from them. I say now Craig's going to be hoping that he's going to get the same thing from 76 at Jim Brooks. Jim right now showing 1 lap down. Is going to try to obviously stay 1 down if he can, but I feel like, I mean, look at the laps. He pitted 8 laps ago. Yeah, I think he's going to have to make another pit stop here. So I think we'll see that 76 in again. And actually, he's got some rear end damage to the back wing of that 76 machine. So he's backed it into a wall somewhere, or possibly got hit from behind. So that 76 probably not handling at its best either right now. As Eric Schaus actually puts the fastest lap of the race, again, about half a second quicker than Craig Forsyth. So all their little gains here and there, I mean, it's just going to add the pressure that much more. You see Craig's going to have to work around Jim Brooks. Jim moves out of the way there, gives Craig all the room he needs to get into that, especially that tricky turn here, that blind entry into the hairpin. So again, a lot of respect with these drivers. It's what we want to see. I say now again, we mentioned Eric Schaus. He's going to be hoping to see that same thing once he gets to the back of that 76 machine, which that's they watching that gap again, Steve, it's about 4 seconds.
He keeps cutting off half a second a lap. He's definitely going to get there.
I mean, the other thing that's going to be doing is at some point, I'm sure Craig's probably looking at his intervals, and he's going to be like, this gap was like 10 seconds not that long ago. I'm in the 4-second range now, and then just it maybe forces you to do run a little bit differently, and maybe kind of not hit your marks as well as you would normally. Again, another fastest lap, Eric Schaus. Even Craig actually ran his fastest lap of the race the last time by, a 102.5, but then you saw there Eric with a 102.2. So again, 3 more tenths of a second for Eric Schaus. Even with Craig doing all he can right now, Eric's just kind of putting the wick down and just doing all he can. We also have a good battle for third. Chris Jabot in that 5, yeah, so he's only about a second or so away from that 23, Brendan Pasalacqua. This is for the final podium spot right now. So say same thing for Chris. If he can kind of keep the pressure on that number 23 car, that could be a potential podium spot for him.
And he's showing about a 1.5 seconds back, which is definitely doable.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's so easy to make mistakes here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. So let's say right now it's saying roughly about 10 to go on the race length. Let's say it looks like about 9.5 minutes remaining on the track. Looks like this time Craig was, Craig put down a lap there in that 131. He ran the fastest lap, or his fastest lap of the race, I should say, a 1:02.338, which is about 0.7 of a second quicker than Eric Schaus. So I think Craig there responding to the pressure from that 72 car. And something we didn't mention, again, those push-to-passes. I'm wondering if these drivers here now in these final 10 laps, they're probably just using the button here every time on the backstretch as we're within that 10 to go mark.
Yeah, that would definitely make sense. I would certainly use it.
Yeah, I mean, Eric that 72 car, he can see the leader here when they go down the backstretch. So that's that little extra incentive that you need, and saying it just goes so much with it. And saying while we're watching that, actually, Chris Jabot in that number 5 car, he got around the 23 Brendan Pasalacqua. So it looks like, I'm trying to see if there's any damage or anything like that. No, both cars are clean. So move Chris there up in the 5 car now up into that 3rd position.
Good job, Chris Jabot.
I'll say there will be a little bias on our end. To say Chris and Don are some good friends, teammates of ours. So I'll say we're really excited to have them over here with the Area 51 Racing League. So we made sure that we're like, hey, if you're going to be over here, you got to be on your best behavior, because you can't make us look bad. So yeah, it looks like Craig has definitely been responding though to those laps from Eric Schaus. That last time I ran by, they were only about 0.2 of a second apart. Craig's still just slightly faster. But yeah, so I'd say looks like that 131 definitely kind of stepping up his wick as well. And again, I think we're starting to see that push to pass starting to come into play as well. Just use up all the power you can of the car.
Yeah, I'm imagining that Craig was probably driving fairly conservatively till maybe it got to about 5 seconds or 4.5, and he was like, okay, that's close enough.
Yeah, so when you start feeling the pressure, but again though, like I said though, I mean, to let him get that close, I mean, you have to then be able to step up your game and not make mistakes. I mean, it's not easy to do. And so I mean, so far again, we're not done yet. I say Craig's done a great job so far in this race. I say we got roughly about, waiting for the timer to click through. He looks about 7 minutes remaining, so about 7-8 laps to go in the race. So right now, looking at that intervals, showing about 5.5 seconds between Craig and Eric there. And again, we'll jump back a little further as well. We're going to look at Chris Jabot as he comes across the line. So he's got about, about 3 seconds, looks like 2-3 seconds over Brendan Pasalacqua, Steve.
Let's see, I'm showing, almost 3 seconds.
Saying Chris was actually just over a second quicker than that 23 car that last time by, so he's stretching the gap a little bit here, which is definitely what you want to see when you're in this kind of a position. So great job by them. Right now, those are the last 2 cars on the lead lap, just again showing the pace of that 131 and the 72. I say we'll have to obviously, pending how everything ends up, but if that 72 intentionally didn't qualify or maybe had a mistake during his qualifying run, he'll definitely be kind of, I think, lamenting that missed opportunity of starting towards the front here.
Yeah, definitely. But to have gotten all the way up to second from where he started and narrowed the gap the way he has that's a victory in itself.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, this is again an extremely tough track just to race at in the first place, but then also to be able to pass cars and get in even in contention here. I mean, that's a really great job. Oh, actually though, I just noticed here the left front wing end plate a little bit of damage for that number 72, so he's made some contact with the wall somewhere. Shouldn't be too much of a concern. He's got a big gap over Chris Jabot, so if he wants to, he could probably pit here and take some. Take a fast repair, which it looks like he's going to do. I think that's definitely the right call here. He can then just be able to still run his own laps here in the 72 machine. So unfortunately, a little bit of damage for Eric Schaus. It's going to definitely take the pressure off of Craig Forsyth there. And the other thing, though, too, is I'm not sure if Eric had a clean race up until that point, but that's also going to get rid of the chance of any bonus points for a clean car, which I'm a little skeptical if anybody's going to have that opportunity tonight other than possibly Craig Forsyth. So say we see Eric coming out of the pits, and he's going to come out not too far actually in front of Chris Jabot. So say you're going to watch as the 72 comes out, there's the 5 in the background. That is now the battle for second spot. We've seen Eric have a lot of pace in that 72, but he's got to be careful here because he's going to be on cold tires. We've seen how loose those cars get until the temperatures build up. So we're going to keep an eye on this battle here because this could be a good one. And Steve, we got some good insider info from Eric's wife, Rachel. Unfortunately, Eric had a incident during his qualifying run. That's why he had to start towards the back. So, yeah, definitely going to be lamenting that qualifying attempt and not being able to get exactly what he was hoping for there.
Thanks for that insight, Rachel.
All right, we're going to hop on board with that number 5 of Chris Jabot. He is trying to see if he can chase down that 72 of Eric Schaus. As you see, again, the draft is huge here, so he's going to be able to close the gap on the straight for sure. And, of course, the other question is going to be how many push-to-passes do they have remaining. Time-wise, we are just at about 3:45 left, so going to be probably about 4 to 5 laps remaining, depending on when the leader catches the start-finish line, when that all happens. So we're going to keep an eye on that. So but right now, this is definitely going to be a good battle on track, and it's going to be one of those risk-verse rewards here, Steve. Does Chris kind of go for broke and try to grab that second spot from the 72 of Eric Schaus, or does he maybe just try to kind of put a little bit of pressure on and see if he can force him into a mistake and try to hold on to that third place finish here?
Well, the other thing I'm wondering, and I didn't see this, maybe Jackie can answer this one. Did Eric take tires on that last pit stop, or did he just fix his car?
From what I saw on the broadcast, it looked like he did take tires there. So I think he's got fresh tires. I think once they get up to temperature, he'll probably be in pretty good shape. But again, it's just those cold tires. We've seen them bite drivers just getting up to speed there. So you don't really expect to see those kind of mistakes from drivers like Eric and Craig. But again, I mean, it happens to everybody. So you never count your chickens.
Yep. So I would think that his tires are probably about heated up now, and he should be able to start to pull away if he's got fresher tires. But Chris is doing an extremely good job of hanging in there.
Yeah, Chris is just about 2/10 off his best lap of the race, and that's on 13-lap-old tires. So, it's one of those things like you'll see drivers they perform better when there's that kind of that mouse or whatever in front of them that they need to chase. You'll always see that kind of stuff. You see, actually 88 there of Michael Spell. He's got some damage to the nose of that car. But actually, though, Chris gets a good exit here out of the hairpin. Eric's going to have a little bit of a draft, it looks like, from the 00 of Don Runkle Jr., but then also Chris is going to have the draft from that 72 here as they come through the backstretch, entering that long sweeping right-hander. Then we're going to have that quick left to right. So Chris definitely keeping that 72 honest here. Not really worrying about the 131 Craig Forsyth. He is pretty much all by himself right here. Attrition's actually really come into play here, Steve. I've been looking at a lot of retirements recently. So unfortunately, it looks like Charles Teed, John Burrell, David Leclerc, James Ledford, Jason Bridges, and Nicholas Winook have all retired from the race. In addition to those earlier retirements of Jared Kaczynski, Charles Johnson, and Dwight Plesh. You saw the 00 Don Runkle Jr. He just moved out of the way for those guys. Again, good respect for these drivers. Let them battle here for that second position. Don't want to play an outcome in the race. as Craig Forsyth just took looks like the 2 to go here with about a minute remaining. So again, we'll have to keep an eye. It's always hard to tell in these time races when the official last lap is. But right now, though, you see Craig Forsyth here, that car looking nice and clean. He's definitely had the evening he's been looking for here tonight at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
Yeah, basically took the lead from the start and ran away from the field.
I mean, that's the dream race for a lot of these guys. So obviously, at some point had to step it up a notch though with those laps that Eric was putting in. And again, though, wow, these guys, Chris Jabot just put in his fastest lap of the race at 102.675. Eric Schaus ran a 102.564, so just about a tenth of a second between them there. Eric's stretching that just a teeny bit. But again, though, Chris definitely keeping the pressure on him. And while we've been talking about that gap between himself and Brandon Pasolaco, that's jumped to about 11 seconds here. So great job by that number 5 machine. Definitely kind of stepping up here when it matters. All right, I believe the 131 of Craig Forsyth just took his final lap here. We'll jump on board with him for just a moment as we watch him come through. I don't even know what turn we're at right now. There's just so many sweeping turns here. It's hard to keep track. So I'm going to keep an eye, though, between him and SA. If I could do split screen, I would. But unfortunately, we don't have that ability here as he's going to come into that hairpin for, I believe, the final time and then onto the backstretch. And we'll jump back over now to the battle here for the moment between that 5 and the 72. As Eric Schaus puts in another fastest lap of the race. Chris Jabot also puts in his fastest lap of the race, about a 0.2 of a second difference between the two of them. So these guys are leaving nothing on the table here. All right, we're going to jump back to our race leader here, Craig Forsyth. He's coming on to the final turn right here. And I believe he's going to see the checkered flag for the win tonight at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. This is, on our side, it's just going to keep saying 2 to go, but I believe that was the result. Yeah, you see finishing there on the screen. So Craig Forsyth, the winner tonight. Now we got to watch this battle for the second position as they're going down the backstretch. Eric Schaus looks like he's got a comfortable margin here over Chris Jabot. Just needs to hit his marks for these last couple of turns, and he'll be getting that second position from the 13th starting spot. And it's just got one more turn to go, and sure enough, yep, give Eric Schaus the second position just over the 5 of Chris Jabot. Great runs for both of them. Really exciting finish as well. I'll say that was definitely a charge to the end. Chris gave it all he could, but in the end, there was nothing anybody could do for that number 131 here of Craig Forsyth, the winner of tonight's race with the Area 51 Racing League. 51 minutes at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. So we're going to go ahead and grab some drivers, get some interviews, and then we'll step away for just a moment, and we'll rejoin you here in just a second. All right, so you see while we're watching the 131 of Craig Forsyth doing some donuts here, celebrating his win tonight, we are going to jump over to that number 5 of Chris Jabot, our third place finisher here, and Steve Gottschalk has caught up with our third place finisher of Chris Jabot.
Chris.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, hell of a job.
Thank you.
So I have to ask you one obnoxious question. This is without question the most difficult, most technical track of all the ones that I've been here for. And my understanding is that you haven't run a race before this on the easy tracks where you didn't do something like go into the pits and step on the gas and do a header into the wall. So how did you manage to stay on the track this entire race and run so well?
Your guess is as good as mine. I guess I put in a little extra practice for this one, so that's honestly probably the big difference. But there was a few times, there's a couple patches in the track that are really rough, and there was a couple times I hit it and it knocked me sideways, but luckily I only lost a second or two. It kind of kept it pointed out straight on the track, so it wasn't too bad.
You did a damn good job, not just of making a mistake-free race, which was extremely important to finishing where you did, but also at the end, Eric Schaus had to pit and fix some damage and came out just in front of you. And from what it looks like, he was on fresh tires, and you kept right up with him. I'm impressed as hell with that because your tires were like 13 laps old.
Yeah, I don't know. He probably had a full load of fuel too. I feel like the cars were a little bit faster, as the fuel went on. But also, I saved pretty much all my push to passes until the last like 15 minutes of the race. So that was a big reason I was keeping up with them. I was using that stuff on the back stretch almost every lap.
Okay, what was that like when you pushed that thing?
It's nice. There was, I guess, once or twice earlier in the race where there was some lap traffic, and I tried to use it. But I don't know. It seemed like you had to have the draft too. If someone wasn't going to give you anything, you could get right up to their rear end, but it was hard to be able to make the move into that next corner because it's flat, but you're still in sixth gear, almost full throttle through it, so it's not really that great of a passing zone.
Okay. Do you notice like the car lurch forward when you hit that button, or what?
I mean, I'm hitting it, right as I'm exiting the corner, so I guess it's kind of hard to tell. The car's already accelerating so fast, it's lurching forward. Yeah, I'm not real sure. I mean, obviously it gives you some extra power, so I'm sure it's noticeable.
Okay. So, any other comments? People you want to thank, stuff like that.
I, this is only my third race in this league. Just the admins here, they do a great job. The atmosphere is awesome. The races have been great. I've screwed up. I'm glad they let me still race and I could come out and have a decent finish tonight. Obviously, Green White Checker TV, you guys up in the booth, put on an awesome broadcast for everyone every week, multiple times a week for this league. I know.
Yeah, great run though for you here, Chris. I'll say, got Luke on the nameplate of your car as well, so you've done your big kitty proud there. And saying, hope your mom was able to watch too, so able to see you get a third place finish here and say get some interview time as well.
Yeah, she was definitely watching. Luke's sleeping, but hi, Mom. If you're still watching, I'm sure she is.
All right, that's our third place finisher, Chris
Yep.
Jabot with that third place run. Again, congrats, Chris. Great run tonight. Definitely did exactly what you needed to tonight to get that result.
Yeah, great run, Chris.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right, so that's our third place finisher, that number 5 of Chris Jabot. So now we got to pull up our second place finisher here, Eric Schaus, in that 72 car. Say Eric was doing everything he could there at the end, trying to chase down, close the gap, I should say, really on Craig Forsyth. And I mean, you were doing that. You were down to, I think it was 4 seconds at one point, saying you both were definitely started stepping up the wick there. Didn't see what happened. So I saw you got a little bit of wing damage there. Had to pit there late to get that fixed. Then you had to fight there to keep that that number 5 car at bay those remaining couple of laps there at the end. So starting 13th, unfortunately, to say Rachel kind of gave us the inside scoop mistake during qualifying. That was definitely not an easy day on the track for you tonight.
Yeah, overall it was a pretty fun race. I enjoyed it. It definitely hurt me qualifying back in 13th. I had a mistake coming through on my very first lap or very first corner. I spun it and put it right in the wall in qualifying, so that kind of screwed me up. So from there, it was just kind of fighting through the pack. But I don't know. In this course, it's a little hard to get through traffic or people in front of you, even if they're a little bit slower. You really got to take your time and pace yourself. So it took a while to get through traffic, and then I was able to start closing in on Craig. But unfortunately, it also was kind of putting me at a weird fuel window where if I pushed too hard, I had to do a splash and go. Otherwise, I had to kind of keep the pace I was going. So, yeah, I mean, overall, there was no way I was going to catch him even if I had spun, just because of the fuel and everything. He was on a fuel save mode the whole time. So he ran a really good race and held that lead that whole time. Just an excellent job. but I'm happy with second. I mean, I gave it what I could and just tried to race clean.
No, I mean, you did a great job. I say again to be able to get through the traffic like you were, and even just stay in the lead lap in the first place. I mean, that was an achievement in itself with starting as far back as you were there. And like I said, keeping it clean, keeping it off the grass as much as possible. And of course, grand scheme of things, of course, the points battle. Your contenders there, Charles Johnson wound up retiring early. He's going to be in 20th position. And then you got the 83 of Jack Walls. So they actually recovered really well for Jack. He's up, but able to get into the 6th position. But again, I think it was just a 1 point difference between the two of you here. So I'll say we got those final 2 oval races coming up next. So able to do what you needed to do to help that points cushion here going into those last 2 races.
Yeah, I think I was 1 point back on Jack going into this race. So I'm happy with any kind of podium. I saw that he kind of went off early or had some kind of incident early. So, I'm impressed by him pulling out a 5th there. That's a great job to stick in it and get back up to the front like that. So he's keeping the points battle close.
On your right, actually, I just updated on my end as well, showing him in that top 5. So yeah, like you said, a really good recovery for him. So yeah, so it's going to come down to those final 2 races, probably between the 2 of you. We'll see if Craig was able to close the gap enough, but he had a long ways to get there. So it might be a 2-horse race here, get into those last 2 races.
Yeah, my goal going forward from here, depending on where the points lay out with Craig, but it's really just going to be try and finish in front of Jack, regardless of position. If I can do that, I hopefully will stick to the getting the championship here at the end.
All right, I'll say before we let you go, though, of course, got to give you the opportunity for thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that 2nd place run here tonight.
Yeah, thanks to you guys at Green White Checkered TV. I'm going to go back and watch this one for sure. Thanks to Area 51 for putting on a good race. Thanks to my wife for watching. Thanks to my, I believe my father-in-law and brother-in-law were watching as well. So thanks to those guys. Always appreciate the support, and I look forward to the next one.
All right, it's our 2nd place finisher there, Eric Schaus, getting a good recovery there at the end. Able to grab 2nd, held off that number 5 of Chris Jabot. Say really good runs for them. And yeah, so now we've only got 1 person left. It's going to be our race winner here, Craig Forsyth. So let's jump back over to our race winner. He's got some burnouts that he's going to want to watch. So let's go ahead and catch up to that here as he comes through the track. And while we do that, let's go ahead and pull in our race winner, that number 131 of Craig Forsyth. So was that on your end there? Was that a nice Sunday afternoon drive for you tonight?
That was exactly what I needed. That was I wouldn't call it a Sunday drive. I admit I wasn't driving flat out once I saw I was getting a bit of a lead. I mean, it was unfortunate for I think it was Charles and David, the 2nd and 3rd in qualifying there. They both had issues in the first couple laps, which gave me the space I needed to dial it back. And I knew if you went flat out on this, you were going to have to make a splash and go. And if it turned into a fighting battle, you were going to have to do like a 2 or 3 lap splash and go. So having get a lead right off the start was definitely beneficial, because it meant I could dial it right back and make absolutely sure I did not need to splash and go at the end.
Yeah, I say we were watching the gaps and saying that does make sense, because we were watching the gaps kind of shrink a little bit. And I mean, obviously you ran a great race all race long, but I say at one point I think that you had the gap between yourself and Eric was in that like 10-12 second range. But say Steve and I were watching as I started getting a little closer into that, like, let's say 4 or 5 second range. Like, all right, what's Craig gonna have to do to respond to this? Saying you definitely responded strong, say getting some of your fastest laps of the race in that number 131 car. Was that something you were kind of keeping an eye on, just where that 72 was on the interval side of things?
No, absolutely. I was watching the relative constantly. It was the second stint I was going slower because I was trying to make 17 laps on that one, and that would have made sure that I could flat out go for the final pit stop and not have to worry about fuel at all. But I was like 0.2 short of making it, and at that point, I think Eric had come down to 7 seconds, and I wasn't willing to risk it for another lap because he probably would have been right on my back end. So I decided to come in, and then it ended up Eric spun, so that took the pressure off me, and I was able to finish out the race that way.
And it looks like you went for a little bit of a glory lap, though, I have to say, at the end. Didn't quite get the fastest lap of the race, but you were about a half a tenth off there. So were you just kind of seeing what you could do if you really need to put the pedal down there at the end?
time I was doing it, I was like, why am I doing this? Because if I crash, this is stupid.
So that was actually my other question was, were you able to get through this race clean? Did you have any incident points like off tracks or anything like that? Or were you able to keep it in the on the pavement the whole time?
No, it was a clean race. I mean, the traffic was good. Guys were getting out of the way. It had a no incident race. It went as good as you could have possibly asked.
So that's going to be great as well. Say again, kind of still an outside chance. You'll need a little bit of help probably to get into the have a chance for the championship in those last two races. But let's say all those bonus points. I mean, getting the pole, leading the most laps, or I think leading every lap, I should say. And then of course also having the having no incident points. I mean, there's going to be some bonus points there as well. So all those little things add up. So we'll have to see. We'll say coming into next week's race, so we'll have to see how that points gap is going to look, because that could. Like you said, it's still always a chance at it.
Yeah, unless something crazy happens, I think the guys just need to know I'm going for the front, and I don't care about their championship race.
Well, that's the thing, is everybody's got their different plans that they got to do. So I'll say they'll be obviously watching each other a bunch. So you never know. So you can always sneak in there while they're fighting each other. You might see that 131 sneak in there and maybe steal a title away if the opportunity presents itself.
Oh, I won't turn that down. That's for sure. Yeah.
All right, I'll say before we let you go though, Craig, of course, got to give an opportunity for any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for your win this evening.
I got to thank the Area 51 boys. It was a good race. I mean, I know a lot of guys were spinning out and stuff, but everyone was still considerate and having a good time, I think. Our sponsors, for the league, Buck Kicker, Green White Checkers, it was a good race. I realize others might have a different opinion, but we had a fun time.
All right, well, congrats again, Craig. Enjoy the win. Like I said, able to get the win there, and saying that's kind of some days you need that kind of a medicine. So enjoy this one, and I look forward to catching you again here soon.
You betcha, man. You stay safe.
All right, so those are our top three finishers for the race tonight. However, we got to pull up our results here. So Craig Forsyth getting the win. You see there obviously a pretty big gap over Eric Schaus, with Eric having to make that late pit stop. And Eric just holding on to that second spot over Chris Jabot. Brandon Pasalacqua bringing it home in fourth. And saying, like was mentioned, Jack Wall is able to recover and grab a top 5 finish. Great job by Jack there in the number 83. Jim Brooks brings it home in 6th. Michael Spell 7th. We mentioned David Patton as well. He recovered well to get up into the 8th position. Don Runkle Jr. in 9th. And Benjamin Combs going to round out our top 10. We got 11th through 20th there. Our second place finish, or qualifier, Charles Teed, unfortunately didn't have the night he was looking for. So he winds up 11th. John Brill 12th. And you have David Leclerc, James Ledford, Jason Bridges, Nicholas Winook, Gary Corley, Art Peck, Jerry Kaczynski, and Charles Johnson are late finishers. And then I believe also we had Dwight Plesh. Yeah, we had Dwight Plesh there in 21st position as well. All right, Steve. So any final thoughts on your end for tonight's race?
Yes, it was an entertaining race to watch. It was fun watching Eric try to close the gap and run up through the field like that. And really enjoyable to see Chris run as well as he did tonight. I think one of the biggest differences between the people that did well tonight and the people that didn't is more whether they were able to keep the car on the track. How many times they went off and had to get repairs and stuff. Hopefully, if the series comes back here, people will be, I guess, know the track a little bit better, and more people will be finishing up towards the lead lap.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, this is definitely, I think, one of the more difficult tracks on the schedule. Say just with how fast it is with the Indy cars, and of course, like you mentioned, all the elevation change and just the blind turns and everything like that. This one's definitely one that you got to be ready for. You can't just kind of hop in and go. You definitely need to have some hours in it. So, say Craig Forsyth did exactly what he needed to do there. Say Eric Schaus had a really good recovery drive on his end. Say we kind of expect to see those two towards the front. But say unfortunately the qualifying mistake for Eric made him have to work his way back up there, but able to do so to at least challenge there towards the end. And again, like you mentioned, Chris Chabot, a great run there, getting that third place. Brandon Pasalacqua as well, up to fourth. And then Jack Walls, 17th to fifth. So great job for that number 83 machine. Like I said, keeping his championship title hopes alive as well. So 2 more to go. So it's going to be really exciting. So definitely stick around the next 2 weeks and see who's able to get the title at Homestead Miami Speedway. So for myself, though, Kyle Brooks, and of course Steve Goschak, really want to thank you all for joining us here tonight at Green White Checkered TV. So until next time, please, if you can, of course, stay home, stay safe, wash your hands, and until tomorrow, have a good night.